Oversupply, forcing some schools who don't need them to keep them for long periods. But to tell us more about this, we are joined now by Dr. Enoch Nzama. He's head of the Education Department. Dr. Nzama, good morning to you. Thank you so much for coming through.
Good morning to you and good morning to the listeners at home.
All right, let's get an immediate response from the Department of Basic Education on these reports.
Let me first make one correction. I must thank the opportunity to respond and to make corrections on the allegations that there are irregularities on the procurement of sanitary towels in KZN. There are no irregularities. This project was planned and to provide for 1.3 million learners in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And when we started with about 520,000 girl learners to benefit from this project, targeting four sets of areas of operation in the province. That is quintile 1 schools, quintile 2, quintile 3, and special schools. And then quintile 4 learners in quintile 4 who are coming from informal settlements. And that we first provided for 520,000 learners at a value of 20 million rands for a period of 4 months. 520 learners at a value of 20 million rands for 4 months. Then we had to increase the period from 4 to a year, from 4 months to a year, and that costed us close to 60 million rands, which is about 20 million rands per quarter times 3 quarters, which is 12 months in a year. And then we also had a responsibility to increase the number of learners that could benefit, and then we increased the number from 520,000.
My apologies, Dr. Nzama. Let me just come in there. You've decided to increase the numbers of beneficiaries, but we have principals here on records who are basically saying, look, those sanitary towels are just lying around in our schools because some of our learners are too young to use them. So how do you go about increasing the numbers, whereas you have huge quantities of pads that are just there not being used?
No, the number had to be increased because the target was 1.3 million learners. The number moved to 900,000. The number moved to 900,000, and for now we are okay in terms of the distribution, except those schools, few schools that have reported that there has been an oversupply. Not all schools in KZN and in all those quintiles, but very few schools. And after identifying that problem, that there are schools that have been oversupplied, we then decided to launch an investigation and have those that have had a oversupply to be retrieved and be given to other schools. Currently, the investigation is on to establish if there are any schools that have benefited incorrectly, or alternatively that are already have oversupply, and that investigation commenced, and we are removing those from those schools to benefit the schools in the rural areas. But it is not true that there is oversupply. The current budget for this is only 109 million rands for close to 900,000 learners who are benefiting from the project. But we must agree and admit that where there is evidence of oversupply, we are removing those sanitary pads or towels to be removed, to be given to those schools that did not or in need of currently. Well, that investigation has started, and we are confident that that is going to be corrected.
Yeah, but what proof are you looking for? I mean, the SABC has visited certain schools in that areas. There are educators who complained of the oversupply of sanitary towels. What is it that you want? Because this is, I would imagine this is evident enough.
No, the issue is where there is oversupply, there must be a program of retrieval so that they are removed from those schools and given to those that are in need of. That's what we are doing now. All right. Actually, if now that we have realized that there are schools that have been oversupplied, we are not being defensive. We are removing those from those schools to benefit those schools that are in need of in the rural areas. It might happen that the numbers are either dropped or there was an oversupply, but we have taken a decision to visit all those schools and have them removed and be given to those schools that are in need of. That's exactly what we are doing now.
Yeah, besides the issue of this oversupply of sanitary towels, Dr. Nzama, the National Teachers Union, which is NATU, they also came out with a report saying that it looks like the prices for sanitary towels were inflated from 20 million rands to 109 million rands. How do you respond to those allegations?
Thank you very much. 20 million rands was only meant for for a pilot of about 520 learners who started the project. It was only meant for 4 months. Now, if we were to increase time from 4 months to a year, the number of beneficiaries, it then moved up, to a value of about 109 million. There was nothing wrong because at the time when we started, 520,000 learners had to benefit for a period of 4 months, and it had to move to a period of a year, and 20 million rand was not enough to provide for a year, and secondly, to also accommodate other learners who were in need of at the time when this project started. So 20 million rands and 109 is a matter of looking at the period, which is 4 months to a year, and thereafter the number that we added from 520,000 to 900,000 learners who became beneficiaries. We did not inflate prices, and there are no irregularities. We are clear about the fact that the plan of increasing the number of learners to benefit will cost us money, and also the fact that it was started only for 4 months. And if we were to increase it to a year, if not 12 months, we had to provide for that, and it moved from 20 million rands to 109 million rands. I don't see any irregularity, but I don't want to sound as if I'm defending the department. It's all about budgeting for this project, and we budgeted adequately.
But I think the question really
for learners who are at 900,000, will provide about 100 million rands.
But I think the question really here is, was that 109 million rand an initial amount set aside for this project? I think that is what is raising more questions here.
109 million rands was set aside. You know, when we budget separately for these projects. Yes, 100 million rands was the budget that was provided for this project. It was not the money taken from either salaries or from any other places. It was meant for this project, and we budgeted adequately to make sure that this project is, the towels are supplied to all schools, to those schools adequately, and that the money did not come from either salaries or from any other places. When we budget, we separate goods and services from salaries. So it is true that the budget was independent of other projects, and it earmarked this project.
All right, and you've made mention of the fact that the department will be conducting its investigations on this matter. How long are we looking at? Are there any time frames set?
We want to do this within a few weeks because the issue is the oversupply, and we want to establish exactly where the whole thing is concentrated, so that those sanitary towels are retrieved and resupplied or given to schools that are in need of. And already, we have started already. There are schools that have been approached. There are schools that have come out to us to say we don't need, and we do have oversupply. So it's a question of dealing with this oversupply. That's all we are faced with, and we are dealing with that.
All right, Dr. Nzama, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for coming through. Well, there you have it. That's Dr. Nzama from the Basic Education Department talking to us about the allegations of irregularities in sanitary towels program in KwaZulu-Natal. Of course, last week, the National Teachers Union, NATU, coming out to say it looks like the prices were inflated from 20 million rands to an amount of 109 million rands. But of course, Dr. Nzama saying that this has always been the budgeted amount for this program. All right, we're taking a quick ad break here on Morning Live. It's 15 minutes before 8 o'clock.